Hesitation is treated as a marker of care. Delay is read as intelligence. Pause is interpreted as awareness. In professional settings, decisions are slowed to observe reactions. Meetings extend while eyes scan for approval. Statements are softened until feedback stabilizes. Silence is used as a buffer. In social settings, timing replaces clarity. Responses are held until others speak first. Agreement is mirrored before it is formed. Disagreement is postponed indefinitely. In evaluation environments, movement stops. Posture adjusts to the room. Language narrows under observation. Action waits for confirmation. This pattern appears across roles: leadership discussions, peer collaboration, public visibility, private negotiation. The standard remains consistent. Waiting is framed as reading the room. Delay is framed as emotional intelligence. Adjustment is framed as adaptability. The behavior is rewarded in appearance. It avoids immediate friction. It reduces visible risk. It preserves surface harmony. Institutions tolerate it. Teams normalize it. Groups expect it. Over time, hesitation becomes procedural. Decisions require signals. Initiation requires validation. Movement requires permission cues. The individual does not appear inactive. They remain engaged. They track tone. They monitor reactions. From the outside, this looks responsible. From the outside, this looks calibrated. From the outside, this looks socially fluent. The standard spreads because it appears functional. It aligns with modern feedback systems. It fits performance review culture. It adapts to constant evaluation. No single context exposes its limits. The behavior blends into expectations. It becomes invisible through repetition. The authority once attached to decisiveness thins. The replacement standard occupies the space quietly. No challenge is raised yet. Hesitation is misclassified. It is not sensitivity, it is transfer. Judgment that depends on reception is no longer primary, it has been relocated. Authority functions as an origin point, not as a receiver. When timing is adjusted to reaction, authorship weakens. Decision becomes provisional. The principle is structural. Judgment cannot be deferred without changing its nature. External calibration alters internal weight. What waits for approval carries less force. Social awareness is observational. Authority is generative. One tracks conditions, the other establishes direction. Where judgment follows response, clarity thins. Not visibly, gradually. The reframing removes moral cover. Hesitation is not care, it is diffusion of control. A decision that requires signals is already divided. It contains contingencies. Contingent judgment cannot anchor environments. It bends with them. Bending is interpreted as flexibility, but flexibility without origin produces instability. This principle holds across interaction, speech, action, presence. Wherever judgment is delayed for alignment, authority disperses. No malfunction is required, only repetition. Over time, responsiveness replaces authorship. Timing replaces decision. The principle does not condemn observation, it distinguishes sequence. Observation that precedes judgment retains force. Observation that governs judgment removes it. Hesitation survives because it appears refined. It avoids visible error. It reduces immediate friction. But refinement without origin is erosion. Authority does not emerge through agreement. It exists before response. Judgment that waits is already secondary. Judgment that originates carries weight before reception. This distinction governs the failure pattern. Nothing else accounts for it. The standard exists to preserve coordination under pressure. Systems require reference points. Authority supplies one. When judgment originates internally, interaction stabilizes. Responses organize around it. Timing becomes predictable. Outsourced judgment disrupts this function. Signals arrive late. Decisions fragment. Modern environments intensify this effect. Continuous evaluation compresses time. Visibility multiplies observers. In such conditions, hesitation scales poorly. Each pause invites recalibration. Each recalibration delays alignment. Groups do not wait indefinitely. They adjust around absence. They compensate for delay. This compensation produces drift, responsibility diffuses, expectations lower, the standard persists because coordination demands it, authority reduces processing load, it narrows interpretive spread, where judgment is clear, response costs drop, energy is conserved, momentum holds, where judgment is conditional, costs rise, attention scatters, momentum collapses. The function is not dominance, it is compression. Clear judgment compresses uncertainty. It shortens reaction loops. Without this compression, systems slow, not visibly at first, incrementally. Hesitation appears adaptive in low-pressure contexts. Feedback remains available. Time buffers exist. Under sustained pressure, the same behavior degrades output. Signals overlap. Corrections lag. The standard therefore emerges through necessity, not preference, not tradition. Environments that reward clarity outlast those that tolerate diffusion. Roles adjust accordingly. Authority persists because it reduces friction, it simplifies exchange. Judgment that waits increases variance. Outcomes diverge. Variance erodes trust. Trust erosion alters interaction patterns. Eventually, structure compensates by bypassing delay. Decisions reroute. Influence relocates. The standard does not protect individuals, it protects flow. Where flow is preserved, systems endure. Where it degrades, authority reallocates silently. This function explains the standard's persistence. No alternative fulfills it under pressure. The principle replaces responsiveness framed as virtue. It displaces the habit of waiting. It stands opposite timing as strategy. Reaction is no longer treated as intelligence. It replaces calibration with reference, adjustment with origin. Where hesitation relied on cues, the principle holds position. Where mirroring managed risk, it establishes direction. The older standard prized sensitivity. This principle removes that framing. Social awareness once occupied the center. It is moved to the periphery. Observation remains present. Governance shifts. The displaced framework depended on consensus signals, nods, silence, tone. This principle removes their authority. It contrasts with flexibility as identity. Flexibility yielded to context. Context now yields to judgment. The older pattern valued safety through delay. This principle replaces delay with presence. Pausing under evaluation was treated as control. That interpretation collapses here. The principle displaces external timing. Internal sequence returns. Agreement once legitimized action. Legitimacy now precedes response. The replaced standard optimized for approval. This principle operates without it. Mirroring reactions was framed as alignment. Alignment is no longer required to begin. The older framework diffused responsibility. Ownership was shared through delay. This principle concentrates authorship. It contrasts with neutrality as posture. Neutrality avoided friction. The principle remains defined regardless. Social ease once substituted for authority. That substitution no longer holds. The replaced system depended on constant feedback. This principle remains intact without it. Across roles, the contrast persists. Speech loses hedging, action loses weighting, presence loses drift. The older standard dissolved under pressure. This principle occupies its space. The older standard is failing in real time. It cannot carry weight under scrutiny. Hesitation once passed as refinement, now it registers as absence. Signals arrive, they no longer organize action. Pauses stretch, interpretation fragments. Others do not wait for alignment, they move around delay. Respect thins without announcement, authority migrates without confrontation. The principle remains intact, it does not adjust to reception. This creates friction, not outwardly, structurally. Two systems now occupy the same space. One depends on cues, one does not. The first requires constant confirmation, the second persists without response. As pressure increases, coexistence becomes unstable. Timing fails to resolve it. The environment selects silently, not through judgment, through function. Hesitation continues to signal awareness until it signals unreliability. The principle does not argue. it holds. Where judgment is deferred, authority drains. Where judgment originates, tension concentrates. No reconciliation occurs here, only compression. The space between reaction and decision narrows, something gives. The older standard cannot expand further. The principle does not retreat. What remains is strain, unresolved,